Hey everyone, I'm back with my second thankful card for you guys this week. Today I'm featuring some Lawn Fawn products and distressings. So I'm starting out with a variety of distressings. I'm using peeled paint, crushed olive, forest moss, fired brick, spiced marmalade, wild honey, and scattered straw. And I am ink blending these pieces of Tim Holtz watercolor paper. And I really like this paper because it helps with the distressings in a seamless blend. And I like the texture side, and I wanted to use that on the leaf die cuts that I'll be using here in a minute. So I'm just ink blending these with no rhyme or reason. I'm using all fall colors, as you can see, and I'm just applying ink onto them and combining all the different colors that I've already listed. Once I've gone ahead and ink blended all my little scrap pieces of the distress watercolor paper, I'm going ahead and using the Lawn Fawn Stitched Leaves die, and I'm die cutting several of the leaves out of all of the pieces of paper that we've ink blended prior. Now I cut out way more leaves than I needed to, but I saved these and used them on future projects. So you don't have to use all of the paper and die cut it all. You could save it for a different project, but I felt the need to just go ahead and die cut it and use it on future cards. I'm then taking a piece of Nina Desert Storm cardstock and I'm prepping that with my EK Success powder tool. I'm then going to stamp the thanks from the Lawn Fawn Big Scripty Words stamp set in Versamark ink, and then I'll be using the Ranger Superfine Detail white embossing powder to heat set that. I'm also using the coordinating dies from the Big Scripty Words set, and I'm using the thanks as well. I'm going to go ahead and die cut this out, but I was having a little bit of trouble getting the placement exactly right. So what I did was I took the thanks die and die cut that out of some scrap white cardstock. And then once I did that, I used the negative portion of the die cut to really line up exactly where I want the die to be. I'm placing the die right back in there, popping it in, and applying some post-it tape to hold it in place, and then running it through my die cutting machine. Once I've done that, I've gone ahead and die cut another piece of the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper. This time I'm using the Lawn Fawn X Stitched rectangle dies, and I'm using this gold watercolor from the Kuretake Ganzai 36 count palette, and this is number 91, the gold, and I'm just applying some random and some strategic ink splatters on that piece of watercolor. Now I'm taking the die cut that I showed previously, and I also die cut the same things out of some fun foam, and I'm running that through my Xyron sticker machine. And the reason for that is I just wanted to have some adhesive on the back of there be pretty easy instead of using a fine tip adhesive. I'm then going around it with my scoring tool just to make sure I don't have any stray adhesive. Now before I go ahead and apply my sentiment, I'm laying out all of my leaves exactly where I'd like them to be, and then I'm going to go ahead and just apply them with some regular snail adhesive. Once I have the base done, I'm going in with the smaller leaves, and I'm using some foam tape. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to apply the foam at the very tip of the leaf, and then I'm going to just use some snail adhesive towards the base. The reason why I'm doing this is I want it to be a little bit of dimension, but I don't want there to be too much dimension behind the die cut thanks. So I'm going to do this with all the leaves that are surrounding the die cut sentiment. That way I don't have too much bulk underneath there. Once I have all the leaves placed exactly where I'd like it, I'm just applying a piece of fun foam behind this panel, and I'm just using some score tape on both sides to apply it. Once I've done that, I kind of couldn't decide whether I wanted there to be a small border around it and to trim down the card base, or to have a large border, and I really like having it just centered and having a lot of that Nina Desert Storm cardstock around the edges. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and attach my heat emboss sentiment on top of the fun foam die cut that we did previously, and I'm just lining it up really well. I apologize for my head being in the way. And once I've lined it up, I'm peeling that off and going ahead and applying that onto my card base. And then I'm taking my heat gun and I'm just quickly and lightly applying a little bit of heat to melt any adhesive that was from the sticker sheet. Once that's completed, I thought I needed a few other elements, so I'm using some DMC gold twine, and I've created just a bow out of it. I've layered it up quite a few times, and then I'm using some Ranger Multimedia matte adhesive and squirting a little bit on it and tucking it behind one of the leaves to make sure it's secure. And lastly, I'm just applying a few gold sequins. And that completes my second thankful card for this week. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I absolutely love how it turned out. As always, there'll be a link down below to my blog with links to all the supplies used on this card. And I will be back very soon for my last thankful card this week before we move on to the holiday series. I'll see you guys real soon.